Ahren Lange was discovered at the age of 15. The previous guardian of Germany had died 2 months earlier, and the kingdom was anxiously awaiting its new hero. It is considered by many to be bad luck for a country to wait so long to find its successor guardian. Every school across the nation closely watched its students, but there was no sign of anyone with unique abilities. Little did they know that soon their new guardian would not only emerge, but he would also forever alter Germany and the world in big ways. Ahren was a shy and quiet boy. He did not fit in with any of the typical groups one finds in schools. He also suffered from social anxiety and, as a result, was often bullied by other boys. Getting to school in the first place took all of the courage that Ahren could summon, and while he was there, he was constantly mocked, pushed around, and ridiculed. On one particularly nasty encounter, Ahren tried to stand up for himself. This only resulted in him receiving a full beating from the entire group of boys. Ahren was on the ground, being kicked and punched. He screamed for mercy, covering his face with his hands, and in a rage built up inside him. It was a feeling he had never experienced before. The intensity of this feeling, this rage, finally unleashed his guardian magic. Blue-white light flashed throughout the hallways. Onlookers, students, and teachers alike witnessed something very terrible. The 4 boys who had been beating Ahren were now being cooked alive by powerful tendrils of electricity. Ahren was perhaps the most surprised person in the hallway. He felt his rage, normally an abstract concept, literally flowing forth from his hands. He could see the suffering in the eyes of the bullies, and a small part of him liked it. As quickly as it began, however, it ended. The boys' bodies slumped to the floor, smoking and burnt. Several bystanders witnessed the horrifying deaths, and none of them dared approach Ahren. Everyone was staring at him, completely stunned. Ahren looked down at his hands, still sparkling with electricity. He then looked at the lifeless bullies and realized the gravity of what had just happened. He jumped up from the floor in a panic, looking to his teachers for help. They and students alike backed away in terror from his pleading gaze. It went on like this for an hour. Each room in the school emptied quickly upon Ahren's approach, and soon the entire school was devoid of people. Ahren wandered about the school, confused and afraid. He didn't mean to kill those boys. Like most other guardians on their first day, Ahren didn't fully understand what was happening to him. Tendrils of electricity were still flowing around his hands. When he touched his face or his body, the electricity would hop around but never hurt him. Ahren touched a light switch, which made the connected bulbs explode in a loud pop. Soon thereafter, word of what happened reached the government, and a military escort showed up to take Ahren to the castle to meet his king. There must have been more than 100 soldiers there. By this time, Ahren had pieced together what had happened to him. All school children are taught about guardians, so in a way, this was not totally out of the realm of possibility. But the heavy army detail made him feel more like a prisoner than a guardian. Over the course of a few days and weeks, Ahren was thoroughly studied by Germany's top scientists. It was discovered that Ahren was like a walking electrical battery, and also a weapon with seemingly limitless energy potential. The scientists and religious experts concluded that Ahren's magic differed from his predecessors due to Germany's recent electrification progress. Ahren was formally sworn in as the Guardian of Germany. A guardian swearing-in oath is foremost a promise to uphold the laws and decrees of the king, and through serving the king, a guardian serves his people, or that's what religious texts say anyway. Unfortunately for Ahren, and unfortunately for Germany's neighbors, the king, Karl Hohenzollern, thought up some grand uses for his new guardian. The king planned to fully exploit Ahren's powers in expansionist ways. It began with Ahren's placement into the army. He soon found himself serving on the front lines of multiple new wars of aggression. Ahren did not want to kill so many people, but he stayed true to his oath. It was his duty to obey the king no matter what. Ahren was at the forefront of Germany's invasions into Austria, Poland, and Brabant. Within a year, he had killed tens of thousands of enemy soldiers by his own hands. These wars took a great toll on Ahren, who was used again and again in nearly every single battle. As a result, Ahren sank into depression. He could not erase the countless faces of those he had killed. They were men and women trying to protect their lands from invasion, and he had snuffed them out, all of them. Ahren's advisors and mentors advised him to dismiss the deaths as a simple fact of war, that war and death were parts of life. Ahren couldn't account for his actions that way, and he considered taking his own life over the guilt. Fortunately, in his second year, Ahren was granted time to recover. Germany's enemies were, for the moment, defeated. As is done in many kingdoms around the world, Ahren lived in the castle with the royal family. While there, he made a friendship that saved his life. The king had 2 children, a daughter and a son. Princess Kira was the same age as Ahren, and the two became close friends. Ahren and Kira found they had more than a few things in common. Ahren felt out of place in his role as the hero of Germany. The princess felt like she was a shadow, like no one really noticed her, since her little brother was the heir to the throne. Their problems were different, yet they still shared an unease with their roles. They each had no friends to talk with other than one another, and they found themselves spending more and more time together. Ahren and Kira also became the crown's top celebrities in Germany. They would travel together to attend the openings of new schools, new hydroelectric dams, and new transit infrastructure projects. They also helped to fundraise for local charities. All of this publicity work kept Ahren busy and his mind off of his previous troubles. Their friendship was even more powerful to Ahren than was being a celebrity. Ahren felt that there was something special about Kira, who always managed to make him smile. He was immensely grateful to have her warmth and kindness. At the same time, Ahren also came to befriend the king's youngest son and crown prince, Matthew, who looked up to Ahren like an older brother. Ahren's life had completely changed for the better, and in time his depressions and dark thoughts melted away completely. Meanwhile, hotspots of partisan activity had popped across the smaller villages and towns in the lands that Ahren had helped to conquer. Despite Germany's efforts at assimilating the local people, acts of terrorism against the German army and German citizens were occurring daily. Ahren was soon sent back out into the territories to subdue the unrest. The king had given Ahren clear instructions: terminate any and all resistance to our rule, showing no mercy to the partisans. Ahren hoped that he wouldn't have to kill again, for he was not sure he could handle that mental anguish. At first, it seemed Ahren would get his wish. Individuals committing various criminal acts were being rounded up and arrested. Unfortunately, despite the large number of arrests, the violence continued. Many locals were working in secret to undermine their new German rulers. Ahren was finally given an order he was hoping against hope to never get. A small village was discovered to be hiding an extensive network of the largest and most dangerous resistance movement. The king ordered Ahren to destroy the entire village, every building and every inhabitant. When Ahren arrived in the village, the first people he saw were children walking to school. It did not look like the scene of an elaborate partisan organization. Ahren could not do it. He refused his king's orders. The German commander of the local garrison failed to persuade Ahren to follow through, and a rider was sent back to the nearest German town to send word to the king. Ahren knew that he was stirring great trouble by his refusal. Guardians simply did not refuse their king's orders, but at the same time, he couldn't bear the thought of killing innocent people, even if he was also killing criminals at the same time. The next day, Ahren learned that the king was on his way to the garrison. Ahren was determined to maintain his refusal to destroy the village, while also pledging his obedience in any and every other manner possible. The upcoming conversation with the king strained Ahren's nerves. Ahren soon learned that the conversation would happen another day. While waiting for the king's arrival, Ahren heard word that his caravan was attacked by partisans, but no one knew the outcome of the small battle that ensued with the king's guards. Ahren rushed to the scene. He saw people riding away in the distance. They looked like locals. The area had no electrical infrastructure yet, so the king was traveling by horse and carriage. From the dark scars on the ground, it was clear that bombs had been used to ambush the caravan. Bodies of German soldiers and the king's guards were strewn about, some of them in gruesome pieces. Ahren saw the king's carriage flipped onto its side, with the glass windows shattered. 2 bodies laid inside. One was the king, and the other was Princess Kira. She was a sleeping angel. A wound in her lower side and some red splatter on her face were the only signs that anything was amiss. Ahren wasn't sure which of several emotions hit him first. Shock was holding his body still as his tears fell onto her face. Ahren pulled the princess out of the carriage. She was not breathing. In her hand was a small envelope addressed to Ahren. With one shaking hand, he opened it. Ahren, father was furious at first, but I've calmed him down. I'm coming with him to make sure he doesn't overreact when he sees you. I insisted on coming, and I wouldn't take no for an answer. You're a good man for refusing him. You don't need to kill our enemies to keep us safe. Love, Kira. Ahren's tears dried on the letter as he found the will to stand. Though Kira could not hear him, Ahren replied with a heavy sigh. Actually, I do. German soldiers approached solemnly, recognizing the severity of what they were seeing. Ahren picked up the princess and handed her body to the soldiers. He didn't say a word as he rode off toward the village. The details of what Ahren did to that village are too gruesome to tell here, but German soldiers reported seeing a bright glow of electricity coming from the village in the evening, accompanied by terrible screams from many voices. Ahren had learned that his king was right. There were times when he needed to kill. He also promised himself to never disobey his monarch again. The following week saw the funeral for the king and Princess Kira. Word of Ahren's responsibility and dereliction of duty to obey the king's orders was kept hushed. Only Ahren and a handful of German officers knew the truth. The hardest thing for Ahren was the guilt he carried in his heart. He felt responsible for their deaths. The funeral services included a grand parade in the capital. When the bodies of the king and Kira passed by in the procession, Ahren fought to hold back his emotions. He was a guardian, and he had failed in his first true task at protecting his people. He failed his king, he failed his princess, and he failed his nation. He would never again put any German at risk by allowing threats to survive. Kira's brother, the Crown Prince Matteo, was now 5 years old. He looked up at Ahren and hugged his leg. Ahren looked at the prince and swore that he would always protect him and keep him safe. Doing so was his single most important responsibility, and he would dedicate himself to it fully.